I combined two amazing plants from Plants vs. Zombies 2. What would their looks and abilities be? In this video, I'll be combining plants in PVZ2, showing you how I draw them and revealing their awesome abilities. I'll also honestly rate each one from 1 to 10. Before we begin, 94.8% of my viewers aren't subscribed yet, so please consider clicking that subscribe button. It would really help me a lot. Let's start by combining coconut cannon and walnut. To start off, I constructed my idea on how these two plants would look when it is combined. I decided to use walnut as the main body for our coconut fusion and use the coconut cannon as the mouth of our fusion. Then, for the eyes, I also used coconut cannon's features. It's really funny how his face looks here. Since it is a combination of coconut cannon, we can't forget the lead of the cannon. Then, I used the leaves of the coconut cannon for the top part on his head. These leaves look like a hair for our fusion plant, but it's funny that the hair is only in the middle part. It's giving a mullet cut. I carefully outlined his leaves here. I also adjust it so it would look good and doesn't look overlapping. Then, I outlined his body since this will serve as our main body. After that, I started to outline the faces that I added earlier so we can connect it to his body. I also outlined the small details in his mouth using a thinner pen and outlined the rest of his eyes. I also outlined the lead on top of his head, but I did not outline the sparks here. For the color, I used coconut cannon as the reference of my colors. I used a brown as the base of the whole plant. Then, I added a shadow for the bottom part of walnut. This will help me to emphasize the texture of his body. I also added a shadow for his face, and also add for his leaves. After that, I used a lighter color for the highlight of his body. I carefully draw the reflected light around his body. I also add that in his mouth. Then, I render it so it blends well and makes it look 3D. I used a darker brown for his eyebrow and for his lid, so it would look like coconut cannon's face. For the rest of his face, I used a white base for his eyes and the middle of his mouth. I also changed the leaves into green. Back to his face, I used a lighter brown for the tip of his mouth because you can see that coconut cannon also have the lighter brown on top of his cannon mouth. Then, I added a black for his eyes. And for the inside of his mouth, I used a gray and gradiented to make it look the same as the mouth of coconut cannon. We can't also forget the shadow in his eyes and mouth. Moving on, I draw some shadow in his leaves and add some reflective light. Then, I also draw some highlights for his lead so it wouldn't look like a flat drawing. I finalize it by changing the outline into a different colors to blend well with the skin color. And there you have it, Cannonut. Let's now talk its ability. This plant has the role of tank due to its very high toughness. It also has a 450 sun cost, and its attack type is tap to use coconut launcher, the same as coconut cannon, making it a long-range and high-damage plant. However, the recharge time of it is 15 seconds, so it would take a while to fire another zombie. Since it is a combination of walnut and coconut cannon, when players taps Cannonut, it launches a powerful coconut that deals massive single-target damage like a standard coconut cannon. After tapping, the plant enters a 15 seconds cooldown. While being in cooldown, this is where the walnut traits enter. It acts as a walnut while the cannon is in cooldown. For the passive, if Cannonut's HP drops below 40%, its next shot becomes an overloaded coconut, which means that it deals double damage, has a 2x2 splash, and knocks back high HP zombies. When given a plant food, it fully restores its HP and armor and fires one massive coconuts, similar to coconut cannon plant food. Overall, I rate it 9 out of 10 because I really like how you can clearly see what plant has been combined to create this fusion. Also, his face looks funny since it looks small in its body. For his ability, I love how you can damage zombies while protecting other plants because of its walnut function. Our next plant is a combination of a pea shooter and tile turnip. I started by imagining what these plants would look like. I decided to use a pea shooter as the main body of our fusion. Then for the leaf on top of the pea shooter, I decide to change it by using the leaf of the tile turnip. and I also include the halo part of it. After that, I outlined the adjustment I did. Then, I used purple pink as the base for the whole plant. As you can see, I used tile turnip as the color reference of my fusion. I changed the lower part of the plant into a light pink so the color would match like tile turnip. I also draw the pattern for the light pink like the tile turnip. Then, I also draw the lines using different shades of purple and pink. After that, I added some shadow in his head and adjust the lines I added earlier. To make his head shiny, I draw some highlights on top. Then, added more shadow in his head. This will give our plant a 3D look. I also add some shadow for the body of our plant. And of course, we can't forget the shadow in his leaves. For his mouth, I also draw some shadow so it wouldn't look flat. I also added the line patterns for the mouth so it would match the head I made. Then, to emphasize the mouth of pea shooter, I also draw some shadow in his inner mouth, but I made the shadow darker. For the plants, I also adjusted by changing the base color as green and added some pink to match the plant of tile turnip. I also changed the base of its halo into a vibrant pink, then gradient it using white color. For the eyes, I copied the eyes of a pea shooter. Then I changed the outline into different color that would match the body color of our plant. I made the outline of the halo into a white color. Then I added some reflective light in the body of our plant, especially the leaves. And there you have it, pea turnip. Let's first talk about its plant stats. Just like a pea shooter, the attack type of this plant is straight line peas. The recharge time of this plant is fast, but has a 200 sun cost. Because of its combination, this plant type is ranged and hologram. One of its special mechanic is hologram projection on power tiles. To clearly understand, let's now talk its ability. When pea turnip is placed on a power tile, it creates hologram clones of itself on all other empty power tiles. This hologram attack is in sync with the original pea turnip, so holograms disappear if a real plant is placed on their tile or if the original pea turnip is destroyed. Its main features is that all hologram clones automatically fire whenever the original fires, making this plant a synchronized attack across lanes. When given a plant food, it fires a violet energy beam across its lane that makes the robot zombies disabled for 5 seconds and instantly defeats non-robot zombies, excluding gargantuas and bosses. Overall, I rated a 10 out of 10. You can see from its physical appearance, the color match of the tile turnip in the pea shooter is really good. It looks like a pea shooter cosplaying tile turnip. For pea turnip's ability, it's really cool that when you place a pea turnip, it clones itself on all empty power tiles, and the attack of it synchronizes with the original pea turnip. For our third plant is a combination of red stinger and nightshade. It's a bit tricky when designing this plant, because both of them have unique plant features. But I came up with this idea. I decide to use red stinger as the main body and use the yellow of the nightshade's head part for the accessories of our plant. Then, I decide to outline the whole body of the red stinger and remove the reference plant so that I can add the things I wanted to add in the plant. After that, I added the adjustment I did and carefully outline it. Then, I removed the outline that overlaps the hat part on top of our plant. I used the color palette of nightshade here so I can get the right colors for our plant. I started to add the purple base color for the head of our plant, then use green for the leaves and stem. I also add the yellow base for the hat. For the eyes, of course I use the white as the base, and to match the body, I use the purple for the pupils of the eyes. Since we're making this a 3D plant, I draw some shadow around its head and the flowers in its head. And I also draw some reflective light around it. To make it brighter, I added some highlights around its head. For the hat, I also added some shadows and draw the highlights to make it look shiny. Moving on, I started to draw the shadows around the leaves. This gives the plant some dimensions. Then, I also draw shadows for the bottom part of the plant. We can't also forget the shadow in her body, so I also add that. To finalize the color for our plant, I add the reflective lights in his leaves and add some shadow around his eyes, and also add the highlights so that his eyes wouldn't be dead looking. To finish the whole plant, I changed the outline into a different color that would match the plant color. And there you have it. This purple flower is thornite. Let's now talk its plant stats. This one is a shadow, range, and poison type of plant. Due to its shadow plant, it only functions within moonflower aura. However, the attack type of this plant is long-range piercing projectiles. And it only cost 150 sun with the medium recharge time. For the ability, it is mentioned earlier that thornite is a long-range attacker. It fires shadow-infused projectiles that shoots dark piercing stingers every 1.7 seconds. These projectiles pierce through up to 2 zombies. Each hit applies shadow poison that deals damage over 3 seconds. The poison stacks with multiple hits. When thornite is within a moonflower aura, its status improves to firing rate increases by 30% and its projectiles pierce increases to 3 zombies. When given a plant food, it fires 5 high-speed shadow spikes across the entire row. Each spike pierces all zombie it hits. Overall, I rate this one 8 out of 10. The plant itself looks like just red stinger, but in different colors and has an accessory. But I really love the placement of colors. It really looks like a night stinger. For the ability, I like how it also applies the poison that gives a lot of damage for the zombies. His ability is just like the same as Repeater, but an improved version and with poison. Next plant is a combination of Snow Pea and Electric Pea Shooter. Since both of these plants are pea shooter, it wasn't hard for me to combine my idea in one plant. So I used Snow Pea as our main body and outlined it. For the eyes, I used the circular ruler so that I can get the right size of it. Then, I used Electric Pea Shooter for the color palette I will be using in my plant. I used the green mint color for the base of the plant, then added green base for the leaves. After that, I filled his eyes and inside of the mouth a white base. So, I decide here that I will be using Snow Pea as the color of our main body, so of course I changed it to blue. Then, I added a white color using an airbrush to give it a glowing look like the Electric Pea Shooter. Since we will be copying the Electric Pea Shooter's face, we can't forget to draw the electric pattern on his face. After that, I added some shadow to give it some dimensions and also add the highlights for a shiny look. I also used the same pattern for the crystal of our plant. Then, I added some highlights on top of the crystals, also the shadow between the crystals, and rendered it so it would blend properly. After that, I draw the reflective lights. For the body, I also add some shadow and proceed to add some highlights in the leaves. I also draw shadow in his mouth to emphasize that it is a hole. Moving on, I changed the outline into a different colors to match the color of our plant. Then, I changed the outline of eyes and mouth to a more vibrant color. I also made that outline glowing and did the same for the white highlights around its head. And there you have it, Frostbolt Pea. Let's now talk about its plant stats. Since it is a combination of 2 pea shooter, the attack type of it is a straight line projectile with chaining effect. The plant type of Frostbolt Pea is elemental, range, and control. This one has a 175 sun cost with a medium recharge time. For its ability, Frostbolt Pea shoots an electric pea encased in ice every 1.5 seconds. The first zombie hit is slowed by 50% for 3 seconds. These projectile chains can electric 2 zombies when they are close to each other. Each electric chain hit deals half of the original damage, since it is chained or the electric shock connects with another zombie. And this also slows target for 1.5 seconds. When given plant food, it fires 5 overcharged frostbolt rapidly. Each bolt chains to 4 zombies. And all hit zombies are frozen for 2 seconds and take an additional 100 shock damage. The final bolt creates a frost field in the lane that slows all zombies by 50% for 6 seconds. Overall, I rate it 10 out of 10. It is amazing how you can actually see that it is a snow pea because of its body and an electric pea shooter because of its color. The color of it really blends well that it doesn't overpowering and glow too much, that you can't barely see the plant details. For its ability, I like how both of the plants can express their own ability, like zombies can still be shocked and chained up like the ability of an electric pea shooter, while it can still freeze. I also love how the electric pea is covered in ice every shoot. That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching, Saya.